Hi, I'm Dr. Kurt Wohler for Integrative Medicine Academy. The title of this video is Acrolein Toxicity and Associated Health Problems. So on the Great Plains Laboratory Non-Metal Chemical Profile, also called the GPL-Tox, are a wide variety of different environmental chemicals that have a number of adverse health effects. Some of the herbicides, organophosphates, and other compounds can be quite detrimental for people with cardiovascular illness or issues, neurological problems, etc. And there's many of these chemicals that all of us can have, significant exposure to, some more than others. Things like organophosphates, for example, are extremely problematic for children. Many of them have neurological toxicities that can lead to behavioral issues, cognitive problems, etc. And acrolein is a chemical that, when you actually do this test, you realize that more people are exposed to it than was once thought, and it's actually one of the more common markers to show up on this test. So acrolein, the other name for it is 3-hydroxypropyl or propyl mercapturic acid. And this is a urinary metabolite. The 3-HPMA is a urinary metabolite of acrolein, and it's an environmental pollutant. It's commonly used as an herbicide, as well as in many different chemical industries. So for example, they've used it or can use it as an algicide in aqueducts, for example. You can access it or be exposed to it through cigarette smoke. That could also be secondhand smoke, gasoline, and oil. But what's interesting is that acrolein gets produced by certain bacteria, such as Clostridia bacteria. One of the downsides to acrolein is diabetes and insulin resistance risk. So there's been many studies on the health effects of acrolein and what's called other aldehydes. And the important point here is that acrolein is an aldehyde. Now, an aldehyde is any chemical that has an aldehyde group attached. So a carbon bonded to a hydrogen, double bonded to an oxygen, is an aldehyde. And these are highly reactive chemicals that can lead to a wide variety of problems in the body. So they can deplete glutathione, they can lead to cell membrane damage, they can damage DNA, for example. And there's all different kinds of aldehydes. So formaldehyde, for example, is a aldehyde. Acetaldehyde is another type of aldehyde. Now, acetaldehyde, interestingly, is something that gets produced from yeast. So yeast metabolize glucose into ethanol, but prior to becoming ethanol, it forms acetaldehyde. In us, if we consume ethanol, for example, we can actually produce acetaldehyde as our body attempts to metabolize ethanol. So aldehydes as a group of chemicals can lead to DNA damage. They can generate reactive oxygen species, damage proteins, damage mitochondria, even deplete glutathione. So acrolein is a colorless or yellow liquid with a disagreeable odor. That's the way PubMed describes it. It does burn easily. Small amounts of acrolein can be formed and can enter the air when trees or tobacco or other plants are burned. You can also get burning of oil can produce acrolein. As I mentioned, it is used as an algicide. So it helps to kill algae, or it's also used as a pesticide, for example. It's also used to make other chemicals. And this is a problem because of the various mechanisms of toxicity. I already mentioned that it can be linked to insulin resistance and diabetes, but it has a wide variety of problems. So it could be linked to Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular illness, neurological problems, liver issues, kidney toxicity. And again, because it's an aldehyde, we know that it can chemically react in a way that generates a lot of free radical damage. So acrolein, when you're talking about acute exposure, can end up becoming an issue in suppressing the immune system. In more chronic low-dose exposure, it can actually generate a lot of inflammatory reactions. So from an acute standpoint, it can actually cause immune suppression. From a chronic standpoint, it could generate inflammation and tissue injury. It also gets produced by certain bacteria in the digestive system. So it's known that Clostridia bacteria, at least certain types of Clostridia bacteria, can produce acrolein. And that could be a source that might show up on the GPL-Tox profile, is if there's a tremendous overgrowth of opportunistic bacteria in the digestive tract. Some of the acrolein could be coming from that. And if you look at the Great Plains organic acid test, there's various organic acids that are linked to different types of Clostridia bacteria, C. difficile and others. Now, the organic acid test is not measuring acrolein, and just because these are high doesn't necessarily mean that acrolein is elevated. It certainly could be, but you would have to do the GPL-Tox, or what's called the non-metal chemical profile from Great Plains, to be able to accurately measure acrolein. But there is an association with Clostridia and acrolein elevations. And we talk about this topic and many others in our Toxicity Mastery course through Integrative Medicine Academy. We get into the GPL-Tox. We also do glyphosate discussions. We talk about acrolein and other chemicals, heavy metals, mold mycotoxins, detoxification therapies, chelation therapy, etc. For more information about the Toxicity Mastery course, you can go to toxicitymasterycourse.com. If you are a healthcare practitioner, we have a membership site for healthcare practitioners who want to interact with us directly. We have a lab consulting service through Functional Medicine Clinical Rounds, where you can schedule one-on-one consults with myself or my partner, Dr. Trincatella, for lab reviews, case analysis, troubleshooting. We do have educational material on this website as well, including a member forum. Now, Functional Medicine Clinical Rounds is not a course. It is a membership site for ongoing educational support. As I mentioned, we do have videos. There are live clinical round lectures, Q&A forum, and you can also book consults with us directly. If you have any questions about any of our mastery courses through Integrative Medicine Academy, please check out our website at integrativemedicineacademy.com. You can also email us at integrativemedicineacademy@gmail.com. Again, I'm Dr. Kurt Wohler for Integrative Medicine Academy. Thank you.